Hi everybody. So I, 30 female, recently reported my mother-in-law, Abigail, to the city planning department for cutting down a tree that my grandparents had planted in their front yard in the 80s. And it was not just any tree, it was a coast redwood tree. And people who know what would be popular in the neighborhood because it was such a rare tree. It was pretty big and it was beautiful and I loved it. I have such great memories playing underneath that tree. And a few days back, I came back home to its stump and nothing else. Obviously, it was quite shocking for me. So I went in and I asked Abigail what was going on, because she was the only one who had been at home for the whole day. And I knew even before I had asked her that she must have had something to do with this because she and I really don't get along. So she might have done this to spite me or something, and I was right. She started telling me that the tree looked pretty ugly just standing there in the yard, and she wanted to do something about it. So that's why she had decided to cut down the tree while we were not at home and sell the wood. And she was going to use the money that she got out of it to create a pretty garden in the front that we would all be proud of. I lost it at her. I told her about the significance of the tree. I told her that we already had all the beauty we needed, and she had just cut it down. She started looking lost, but I knew that she was just pretending because I knew that she took an interest in gardening. And I refused to believe that she had no idea what she had done. She tried to tell me that she genuinely had no idea that it was such an important tree. Even grandparents had planted it way back when they first moved here. So even if she didn't know the environmental value of it, she should have known that it had sentimental value and should have respected that. But instead, she told me that she had forgotten about it and she just wanted to enjoy her hobby of gardening, which is why she had cut it down. Later on, when my husband came home, she had an earful from him as well. But at the end of the day, even though she apologized, I knew that it was a half-hearted one, and her apology was not going to bring back the tree. I was pretty upset about it because this is my childhood home, and I had let her into it, so I felt like I was the one at fault. And the next day, she went on with her gardening work as if nothing had happened, and she looked quite smug doing it as well. I guess she knew that I was not going to be able to do anything about it, but she had gotten away with what she wanted to do, and it was so mean-spirited that I decided to write a letter to the city planning department and complain about her. I reported her the very next day, and within a few days they had sent over a representative to investigate, and sure enough, they found out what she had done. And because the tree was part of a heritage program, within 2 days she received a letter from the authorities saying that she would have to pay a $10,000 fine, and not only that, she would also have to plant 3 more trees of the homeowner's choice at her own expense. She was also restricted from making any more landscaping decisions without prior permission from the city planning department. And I swear to God, I couldn't have been happier when she received that letter because she literally went white in the face. I happened to be at home at the time. I was just about to leave for work when it happened, and she immediately started screaming at me, saying that she knew for a fact that I was the one who had reported her, and I was the one who had gotten her into trouble. My husband was also there. He was also about to leave for work, and that's when she started screaming and shouting and acting hysterical. And then I did the same thing that she had done. I started pretending that I had no idea what she was talking about, and I was acting very innocent, telling her that neighbors might have reported her because they also knew how special the tree was. But she was not having it. She was furious, and she was calling me petty. She was calling me selfish and egoistic and all that, and eventually she just stormed out, saying that she didn't want to live with us anymore. I found that funny because it was not like I had invited her to stay with us in the first place. she had shown up on her own, and now she was leaving on her own. So I didn't feel sorry about any of it, and I didn't even try to stop her. My husband was just very confused, and even though he did try to stop Abigail from leaving, she didn't bother, and she just grabbed her bags, called an Uber, and headed towards the airport, where she planned on getting onto the next flight to her daughter's place, where she planned on staying now. But it didn't matter, because she would still have to pay the fine and have the trees planted, because otherwise the legal complications would get worse, and I'm sure that she didn't want that. Anyway, after she stormed out, it was already too late for us to go to work. So we just ended up staying home, and my husband asked me if I was really the one who had reported her, and I said yes. He seemed kind of confused. He told me that even though she had hurt me a lot by cutting down the tree, I shouldn't have reported her because $10,000 is a huge amount of money. And then I told him that she had sold the wood from the tree, so I'm pretty sure that she had money to spare. But he kept trying to make it seem like I had overreacted, and eventually I just got really mad at him and told him if he wanted to, even he could leave, because I was not going to allow him to sit under the same roof that my grandparents had built and insult their legacy by telling me that I had overreacted by reporting something so offensive and humiliating that his mother had done on purpose. We ended up getting into a fight over that, and he also left a few hours later, and I think he's staying with a friend or something, but I'm not sure. Basically, the point is that in the past couple of days there has been a lot of drama, but the only thing I'm sorry about is the fight with my husband, because I really do love him. I don't want to drag out this fight with him over something like this. I feel like I should just reach out to him. I should just apologize to him for lashing out that day and put an end to the fight. But at the same time, I feel like he's being unreasonable, and I feel like he's getting a bit too defensive about his mom. It's never been like this in the past, and he knows that Abigail and I don't really get along. Most of the time he's on my side, but this time, I don't know what went wrong. And actually, since most of the time he's on my side, I've started to feel like this time I might have actually overreacted, because he seems to be so vehemently against my decision of reporting his mother. But I'm not too sure. I feel quite confused about all of this. So I want to know if I actually did something wrong. AITA for reporting my mother-in-law to the authorities and getting her fined for cutting down the heritage tree that my grandparents had planted in the front yard of my childhood home decades ago. Edit. Okay, so I guess because I was trying to put it all out there in a hurry, I missed out on a lot of things. Basically, the reason that my mother-in-law had been staying with me was because her house is being renovated. It's going to take 2 months because she's making a lot of changes, and it's going to take a lot of money as well. So that's why she decided to come and stay with us. And she didn't even discuss it with us beforehand. She just showed up and told us about her difficulties and said that she didn't want to spend money on a hotel. That's why she had decided to come stay with her son for a while. And apparently she missed us a lot. But I knew that she just wanted to be a pain for me, and that's why she had shown up here, because I know for a fact that for her, her daughter is a lot more special than her son, because she's the golden child. So if she really wanted to stay with somebody, she definitely would have picked her daughter first. However, I guess the idea of being a hindrance in my life was too tempting for her not to show up. And I, being the polite and civilized fool that I am, decided to let her stay with me in my childhood home, and this is how she chose to repay me. It was even more upsetting for me because my grandparents had chosen to leave this home to me instead of my parents, because they loved me so much and they trusted me to take care of it, because they had put in a lot of effort and hard work into building this place. I had grown up here since my parents and my grandparents all lived under one roof, until my dad had to move away to another state when I was 15 for work. But even then, I knew that someday I was going to come back, and so I did, and that was 6 months back. And within 6 months, I've already managed to lose one of the most important things to them, the tree. I know that I didn't do it on purpose, but I still feel kind of responsible for it because none of this would have happened if my mother-in-law didn't come to stay with us and do this to us. So obviously I feel very guilty about everything that's happened, and I feel personally responsible. I've spoken to my parents about it and they told me that it's not my fault, but it doesn't matter. It still feels bad. And then on top of that, the way my husband reacted and fought with me also really annoyed me because I don't think that he's trying to put himself in my shoes and really understand how heavily it is weighing on me. That fight could have been totally avoidable if he had just tried to empathize with me, but he didn't. He and I have been together for the past 4 years. We've been married for 2 years, and I know that there is a lot of anger against him in the comments. But I would just like to clarify that I still do love him a lot, because I can't just judge him by this one incident, and neither should anybody else, and I will tell you guys why exactly I say that. Obviously, for starters, I married him because I love him a lot, and in these past 4 years, we have had our fair share of fights and arguments like any other couple, but we have always made it work. But even apart from that, he has made some serious sacrifices for me. Like I said, I had moved to another state with my parents when I turned 15 because my dad got a better work opportunity outside our hometown. And after that, he started working his way up there. So we would only come back home for the holidays and other special occasions. But I knew that I have always wanted to come back, and that urge started getting stronger last year. I just really missed home. I wanted to be around the place where I think I had had my happiest years as a kid, and I think it also had a lot to do with my grandparents. I lost my grandma during the pandemic, and 10 months later I lost my grandpa too. Naturally, I miss them a lot. So last year, I made up my mind that I wanted to come back here. My parents chose to stay back because I guess my dad would find it too painful to be here, because this was his childhood home too, and it would probably remind him a lot more of his parents. As for my mother, her family was just a 10-hour drive away from their current home, and after spending a huge chunk of her life staying with her in-laws, I guess my dad wanted to do this for her and did not want to uproot her, so I decided to make the move on my own. But that required my husband's support as well, because for him, that was his hometown, and I was asking him to uproot himself from his hometown to move to mine. It was a huge deal because this whole family was there, with the exception of his sister who lived in another state with her husband. His job was there, his friends were all there, and yet, after thinking about it for just a week, he told me that he was ready to make the move if that would make me happy. It was a huge leap, but he made that for my sake, and he's never even thrown it in my face during any of our fights later, like other partners probably would. So you see, he's not a villain like people in the comments are believing him to be, and he's actually a pretty great husband. It's just that right now, I don't understand what's going on and I feel bad about it. But well, anyway, I hope that there is more context to everything now and people don't have any more questions. Update 1. Hey guys, so it's been a couple of days since I last spoke to my husband, and today I was about to text him myself because I was feeling pretty bad about everything that's been happening. At work, I made up my mind. I was going to go back home and text him. That's what I thought, but when I came back home, he was already there, and as soon as I walked in, he got up from the couch and gave me a big bear hug. And that just fixed everything. I mean, obviously, we still had to talk about a lot of things, but that one hug, yeah, it made me feel like everything was going to be all right. So anyway, after he hugged me, he said that he was really sorry about how he treated me, and said that he had spoken to his friends, that he had thought about everything by himself as well, and he had realized he was the one in the wrong because he had not exactly been trying to understand my situation in this place. He said he'd been a little defensive and selfish, and he was really sorry about it, and he wanted to make it up to me. And then he took out a bunch of plushies from his bag along with a box of chocolates, and he told me he really wanted me to forgive him, and I literally just couldn't do anything but laugh because it was so sweet. I told him that I did forgive him, that I had already forgiven him, and I had actually been planning on reaching out to him myself that evening after work. But I didn't have to because I guess we really are soulmates and we love each other so much that we don't have to hold out and wait for each other's forgiveness. I also told him that that day, instead of trying to explain things to him calmly, I just lashed out at him. That was also not fair because I was taking out somebody else's frustration on him. He understood what I was getting at, and he told me I didn't need to feel sorry about it because at the end of the day, whatever his mother had done was really wrong. It was unacceptable in every way, shape, and form, and I had every right to react that way. He also told me that before this, he had noticed that my relationship with Abigail was not exactly good. But instead of intervening and trying to make it better, he always just let it go because he did not want to mess things up and get on anybody's bad side. But he said that he should have been actively trying to get Abigail to treat me better instead of just privately agreeing with my feelings and opinions and leaving it at that. And being so diplomatic because at the end of the day, I was his wife and he owed it to me to be a better husband. He said that I had every right to lash out at him and he was glad that I had actually done so because he deserved it. I didn't know what to say, so I just let him speak, and he went on to tell me that in the past few days he had spoken to his mother and he had told her that he did not like what she had done. She obviously tried to defend herself, saying that she had not done anything on purpose. And the cutting down of the tree had been accidental, but he was not buying it. He told her that he had to pay the fine and he would let her know what trees I wanted her to plant and where exactly I wanted her to do it. But he did not want her to have any sort of direct contact with me because she had done enough to upset me already. She didn't like that at all, and they ended up getting into a pretty big fight. Even worse than the one I had with her, and in the end, she decided to block him, and his sister decided to start lecturing him about how important it was for him to be a good son and how he should not let me manipulate and brainwash him against his own mother, because at the end of the day, it was his mother who had been there for him right from the beginning, and he needed to value that. Of course, his sister would say that, since she has always been her mom's darling golden child. So we didn't take her opinion seriously. But anyway, I was seriously glad that he had chosen to stand up for me. But I still told him that he didn't have to pick a fight with his mom because there was no point in doing so. She was never going to understand. She had just made up her mind right from the beginning that she was not going to like me, and that's exactly what she was doing now. So I told him that while it was pretty honorable for him to stand up for me, it was still pretty pointless. I said that I just did not want his mother coming around anymore, but at the same time, if he wanted to go and spend time with his mother and see her and keep in touch with her, I would not be opposed to that. It's just that I don't want to have anything to do with her. I think that's fair enough. He said that he also does not want anything to do with her, but I don't think that that's a permanent solution. Anyway, we didn't discuss that further because I was just happy that he had come back and he had apologized and everything was on the right track once again. Update 2. Hey everybody, so it's pretty close to the deadline that my mother-in-law had been given to come up with the fine, and so she came back yesterday, but she chose not to stay with us, thankfully. She's staying in the hotel and she unblocked my husband to tell him that she needs me to tell her and sign off on the list of trees that she wants me to plant so that she can get it authorized and get the work started. I had already gone through the rest restrictions and the guidelines to make my pick of trees, and I knew what I wanted, so I sent her that list through my husband. It was all properly done and will hold up. That's all the introduction that she had. And then once the list was sent, She blocked him again. I don't know what she's trying to establish by doing that, but anyway, it doesn't matter to him. I thought that he would be hurt, but he doesn't really care. And I guess that figures because all his life he's always been the second priority for his mother. For his mother, it's always been his sister first, so I don't think he's surprised by this turn of events. Maybe a bit let down by her behavior, but he's not letting it show. Anyway, apart from all of that, he and I have been doing pretty well, and we have managed to smooth out all the problems that we had. We spoke about things and we came to a common ground and we were able to sort it all out. And now we are doing better than ever. I definitely think that his mom's behavior brought us together closer than ever, because if she hadn't done what she did, we would have never had the fight. And I think everything with his mother and I had been brushed under the rug in the past, but now it's all come up and we really talked about it. Like I said in my last update, he had apologized for not taking a stronger stand for me and for being so diplomatic. And even though I didn't really think that it used to bother me when he spoke about it, I guess maybe it did a little bit, but I just never acknowledged it. However, now that it's all out of the way, I think she really did us a huge favor by pulling off that stunt, because I guess she might have thought that we were going to be broken apart by her antics or whatever, but instead, she has just brought us closer together, so it's her loss. And honestly, I'm pretty sure that that had been her intention all along, to break us apart, because other than that, I can't imagine why she would treat me like this all the time. Even previously, I had mentioned that she never seemed to like me, but she had it in for me right from the first day, and I think that's why she would behave so weirdly with me. She wanted to push me away from her son because she wanted to put him in such a difficult position that he would be forced to choose between the two of us. I don't know what kind of mother does this, especially when this is not even her only child or even her favorite one, but I guess she's just problematic and nothing else. Some people are just like that. Can't be helped. Update 3. Hi, so it's been a couple of days since my last update, and today, who but Abigail should show up at our door. It was the weekend, and as soon as I opened the door, I was pretty upset to see her there. I was actually expecting my pizza delivery guy, and I was ready to see him open the door without looking first, but then I saw her. And without even waiting to be invited inside, she just stormed in and she just totally ignored me. Instead, she started yelling at my husband, saying that she couldn't believe that he had not made any attempt to contact her further, that he had let her down as a son, and that she was not going to accept this kind of behavior, and that she was going to disown him. I mean, that was pretty ridiculous of her to say, because she had not walked a day in her life. She didn't have anything that she could leave to my husband in the first place, so disowning him was not going to be a huge loss to him at least. His father had already passed away and left him his share of assets, so he told his mother the same thing, that he didn't need anything from her, and if she wanted to disown him, she was more than welcome to do so. But she was not going to get any apology or whatever out of him, if that's what she was expecting. He said that she had disrespected his wife repeatedly over and over again, and he had put up with it for a pretty long time, but he was not going to do so anymore. She said that she was leaving the next day, and that she was done with both of us forever. That both of us were extremely disrespectful and cared for nobody apart from ourselves, and that we were going to face the repercussions of this in the future. She cussed me out, and then she turned towards my husband and started cussing him out as well. And the kind of language she was using, it was genuinely filthy. I don't even want to repeat the things that she said because it was so horrible. I was shocked that a well-educated woman could use language like that for her own son and daughter-in-law. But my husband took it much better. He didn't even give her a reaction. He just told her that if she did not leave immediately, then he was going to call the cops on her and she was going to be in even more trouble. Already she had lost $10,000. He was pretty sure that she didn't want to lose more. She stormed out after that, still cussing, still pretty upset about everything, but my husband did not let her affect him at all. He just went back to watching television, and I followed his lead, and I did the same. We just sat down quietly until our pizza finally arrived, and then later we spoke about what had happened. And he told me that he had no regrets about sending his mother away like that. She had been extremely disrespectful to both of us. It was very obvious that she didn't care for either of us or our well-being, and if she had been a part of our lives, she was just going to start up more trouble and drama. He did not want that. He was done now. And he didn't want to be a part of her crap anymore. And if she wanted to disown him, he really wouldn't have a problem with it. So I guess that's fair enough, and I guess that this is the end of our relationship with her, and honestly, I can't say that I'm sorry for any of this. Stay tuned for more stories from Our Girl Relationships.